Today's video is time by request, and as we all already know, time is the fourth dimension of space. So we're going to be looking into that in this video. Now, a lot of people are impressed because physicists discovered that the fourth dimension is time. That's not very impressive. I have discovered what the fifth dimension is. The fifth dimension is anime. Say goodbye! And I even know what the sixth dimension is. The sixth dimension is green, like this. That's the sixth dimension. The writer wanted me to go through the history of time. I'm going to go through a little bit of that. I'm mainly going to focus on what I think time is. And I think Aristotle was sort of right about this. Aristotle said that time is the motion of objects. I think that's right. I'd change it not to motion, but it's more like whenever the arrangement of an object changes, that's time, right? So you have two things in the universe. You have stuff, and then that stuff changes its arrangement over time. It moves and it twists and bends and things, right? And that distortion of stuff is time. Alright, so where time starts to become a bit more complicated is measuring time. How do you actually measure time, per se, right? And what it comes down to is you're comparing how one object distorts to another object. So let's just look at the sky, for example. Does the sky distort? Or does it just stay the same? Well, it obviously changes, right? It goes from blue to black, right? So that's a really useful thing. Now we can compare the sky going from blue to black to, let's say, our human body. Alright, so is there a relationship between the sky going blue to black and the aging of our bodies? Absolutely, right? The sky goes blue to black 365 times in a year, and in about 80 years most people will age and die, right? Not exactly, so it's not a perfect relationship, but there's definitely some kind of pattern going on here, right? It's not like people live to 1,000 years old, or most people are not going to live to like a day-year-old, right? Unless they have some kind of weird disease, right? Most people are probably going to age roughly somewhere around 80, right? Now there's more precise patterns than this. So, for example, let's take the vibration of an atom. If you take how many times an atom vibrates, and I'm not a physicist, but I know that I read some textbooks on quantum mechanics, right? And they have these super precise atomic clocks, right? I think they work by the vibrations of atoms. And if you counted the amount of times an atom vibrates in a day, right, you get almost the exact same number every time. We don't know that our brains work on a consistent time. So for example, if I see something flying across a screen, and it appears to be moving at an exactly steady rate, right? Well, I don't know that my brain is actually seeing things at a steady rate. Maybe the actual object's moving like this, right? But my brain is all out of whack and out of synchronicity, so it doesn't measure it correctly. And the same thing is true with scientific devices. When we use, like, let's say, an atomic clock or something to measure this, we assume that it moves at a very consistent rate because there's these patterns and we observe it too. But again, the ultimate tool for human measurement, for any kind of measurement in science, it comes down to the human brain, right? At some point in time, the brain has to process information. Whatever a computer says, the brain has to process that information. So if the brain is manufactured incorrectly, then there's no way we can ultimately know if there's any kind of universal or consistent time. So that's it. That's how simple time really is, I think. There's stuff in the universe, and that stuff rearranges itself, right? And we compare the rearrangement of one thing to the rearrangement of another thing, and that's how we measure time. Is that a good or bad way? We don't really ultimately know, because it works good logically in our brains, but if our brains are not programmed correctly, then our concept of time is totally flawed. If you like this video, share it, subscribe, give me all your money. No. If you like this video, share it, subscribe, give it a thumbs up or whatever. This was a video request. I think I do every video request. If I didn't do a video request, like write it in the comments. Be like, I gave you a video request and you didn't do it. Because I think I've done every video request people have given me. Maybe I've missed one or two, but we'll see. If you want to talk to me for whatever reason, just leave a comment or add me on Facebook or send me an email or something. All that information's in this video or in the description. I'm sure you can find it. And hopefully your understanding of time has been enhanced. And maybe I know what I'm talking about. Maybe I don't. I think I do. What do you think? Does that make sense? Does that make a lot more sense than all this space-time crap? Four-dimensional unicorn multiverses.